Abdul Muttalib had vowed to sacrifice his son if Allah granted him 10 children, and he would do so beside the Kaaba. The vow came when he was interrupted by the Quraysh while digging the well of Zamzam. As his sons grew, the number of his children reached 10, and he realized that Allah had blessed him with the fulfillment of his vow. Abdul Muttalib gathered his sons and explained his vow to them. Each of the sons agreed to honor their father's word. He instructed them to each take an arrow, write their name on it, and bring it to him. After they did so, Abdul Muttalib led them to the idol Hubal, which stood near a hole in the middle of the Kaaba, where all sacred items were kept. Hubal had 7 arrows, each inscribed with different words. One of these arrows read, "Blood," for determining the guilty party in a blood feud. Another read, "Yes," for confirming actions, while "No" indicated that the action should not proceed. The other arrows bore inscriptions such as, "Of you or from among you, attached outside you," and "Water," which were used to decide various matters like legitimacy of birth, marriage, and other community decisions. The people of the time would go to Hubal for important decisions, offering money and a sacrificial camel for the drawing of the arrows. Abdul Muttalib, in keeping with his vow, took his sons and their arrows to the idol and requested the judgment. When the arrows were drawn, Abdullah's name was the one that came out. Abdul Muttalib, holding his son in one hand and a large dagger in the other, prepared to sacrifice Abdullah near the idols of Isaf and Naila. At this moment, the Quraysh leaders, seeing what was about to happen, approached Abdul Muttalib and asked, "What is the matter?" He replied that he intended to sacrifice his son, as he had vowed. The Quraysh leaders and his sons pleaded with him, warning that if he sacrificed Abdullah, it would set a dangerous precedent for future generations, leading to the eventual destruction of humankind. Mughira ibn Abdullah ibn Umar ibn Makhzum, a maternal uncle of Abdullah, advised Abdul Muttalib not to go through with the sacrifice and suggested that a ransom could be offered instead. The Quraysh and the sons of Abdul Muttalib further urged him to seek guidance from a female astrologer in the Hijaz, who was said to have control over jinn. Abdul Muttalib accepted their advice and, along with his companions, traveled to the Hijaz. They reached Medina and met the woman in Khyber. She listened to Abdul Muttalib's story, then told him to leave for the day, promising to consult her jinn for the answer. The following morning they returned, and the woman told them that she had learned what was needed. She asked what the ransom rate was in their society, and they replied, 10 camels. The woman instructed them to return to their people, present Abdullah and 10 camels before the idol, and draw arrows to decide the fate. If the arrow came out in Abdullah's name, they were to offer more camels until the decision was favorable. Upon returning to Makkah, Abdul Muttalib presented Abdullah and the 10 camels before Hubal, praying to Allah for guidance. The first arrow was drawn, and it came out in Abdullah's name. Abdul Muttalib then offered 10 more camels, and the arrow was drawn again, only to come out in Abdullah's name once more. Another 10 camels were added, bringing the total to 30. The arrow continued to come out in Abdullah's name, and each time, Abdul Muttalib offered 10 more camels, bringing the number of camels to 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and finally, 100. At this point the Quraysh and everyone gathered began to call out, "Your Lord is now fully pleased." Yet Abdul Muttalib insisted that the arrows be drawn 3 more times. On each of these final 3 occasions, the arrows came out in Abdullah's name. The final time the arrow came out in favor of the camels, not Abdullah. The assembled crowd rejoiced, and the decision was considered final. Abdul Muttalib then sacrificed the 100 camels, ensuring that no human being was prevented from approaching or